Daima is fresh, Daima is spectacular, and this anime is by far the greatest series that has come out in the franchise for quite a while. So let's talk about Dragon Ball Daima, why it's so good and why you need to watch it. Dragon Ball Daima is the last story created by the late, great Akira Toriyama before his untimely death in 2024. And look, he hasn't really had this level of involvement when it comes to creating a series since the movie Resurrection F, which is quite a while ago. I really like the fact that we're diving into a part of the franchise that has been long talked about, but never really referenced to a great degree, the Daima world or the demon world in the Dragon Ball universe. And it's no surprise because, look, this franchise has been going on for quite a while, so anytime we get some new blood into a series, it's gonna be great, and it gets harder by the day for that. So the fact there's still parts in this world that we can find and learn about is always exciting. The story revolves around a mad demon who wants to become the king of the demon world, but he can't do it on his own world, so he decides to go to Earth to wish the Dragon Balls that way. And he can't really kill the people who are probably best equipped to stop him, which is the Z Fighters. So instead, he turns them into kids. You know, Goma, if you really wanted a foolproof plan, maybe you should have turned them all into like week-old babies. That way, there would have been no way for them to ever have a chance against you. But, you know, anime's got anime. However, things don't go as planned, but he does take an insurance policy. A mysterious demon named Glorio arrives on Earth and asks for Goku's help in acquiring the demon world's Dragon Balls to stop Goma's nefarious plans. Which brings us to a game called What Will Goku Do? When asked to join this very dangerous quest, what does Goku say? No? Maybe? Yes? What do you think? Look, I can't really talk about Daima without talking about the two main series that inspired this one. I remember watching the OG Dragon Ball series, and while I was a little kid and didn't even realize it was anime, I did just enjoy how silly and simple the story and the characters were. A young Goku goes on a journey to become the strongest warrior, teaming up with a vain but brilliant scientist to find the Dragon Balls that grant any wish on Earth. Unfortunately, the series that have succeeded this original one have been nothing but a power leveling shouting match, to be honest. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy DBZ and Super, but it's not a stretch to say that creativity when it comes to these series did die a little. Look, I did mention that there were two series that inspired Dragon Ball Daima, so I'm getting there, guys, I'm getting there. Dragon Ball GT has long been the black eye to what most people will agree has been a very enjoyable franchise to this point. Look, the reasons vary as to why GT is so bad, but I think there's one thing we can all agree with, that when you watch this anime, it just gives you such a dry feeling. And that's not good at all. It probably stems from the fact that Toei was heavily interested in creating the series as a cash grab. Because look, they wanted to really compound on the success of Dragon Ball Z. So Toriyama had little contribution to GT, and the best Toei could come up with is to run it all back. That whole Kid Goku plot by turning back into one at the hands of the same maniacal emperor from the OG series. The plot was even the same, recover the Black Star Dragon Balls, except they were over the entire universe, not just Earth. So the story was pretty much one-to-one, except for some very minor and obvious differences. Oh, and add the fact that he was joined in GT by Pan and Trunks, who definitely are no Bulma and Oolong. While I didn't hate Dragon Ball GT as much as many people, in fact, I kind of appreciated the super short story arc for Super Android 17. And look, Baby wasn't really the worst villain when it comes to Dragon Ball villains. Don't forget, that GT rap is a banger. At the end of the day, GT is a very flawed series, and it doesn't really feel like a part of the franchise at all. Yet somehow Toei and Toriyama himself have said that GT is indeed canon, so I guess we all have to accept it. Back to Daima. One thing that I really just can't shake is how much Daima feels like the GT do-over that we all really wanted. And it probably has to do with the fact that Toriyama had such a heavy hand in this series. The parallels between Daima and GT are evident, but everything's improved when it comes to Daima. Goma, for one, is very similar to Pilaf in both stature and ambition. However, Goma is by far a superior villain because at least he comes up with pretty decent plans to try to achieve his goal of world domination. Like acquiring Nether to gather all the Dragon Balls into one setting and make a wish before our heroes knew what happened. Even when Goma only got one of his expected 3 wishes from Shenron, he had the foresight to kidnap Dende, knowing that at least no one else on Earth could be able to grant a wish. Also, Goma's choice in henchmen, Degesu and Arinsu, are already proven to be far better subordinates than Shu and Mai could ever hope to be. The overall plot of turning the entire Z family into kids instead of just Goku is already much better of a choice because look, we get more openness to characterization. This allows more characters to have some screen time and to, grow as a person and as a character instead of just Goku. Look, Goku is great, but we've spent years with all of these characters. Some of them we know a bit of already, but some we don't really get to know more about. So it's great to be able to see an expansion of the personalities of different characters that we've seen, and even the addition of new ones that we've never seen before. This allowed Daima to not only run back that long overdue Goku-Bulma duo, but even adding Piccolo and Vegeta in the mix to join. Daima's Demon Realm is very new and expansive, and look, the world building is very interesting that we do get little pieces of in this series. And look, that says a lot more great qualities than anything we got in GT. It mainly stems with the rules in the world that nerf Goku's ability to easily conquer it like he does with every other place he enters. The heavy air exerts energy to the point where flying long distances is pointless. That's why they have to ride on sky seeds, or also known as Jeff Bezos' spaceships. Now, the Demon World also exists on a completely different plane than Earth, so that means instant transmission is a no-go here. Don't forget the other interesting lore that Toriyama didn't necessarily have to add, but he did, like the Supreme Kai-Shin's connection to the Demon World, how Saiyans age, and even how the Namekian's origin story happened. With Toriyama's untimely passing, these little tidbits of information are just that much more important, and we're very thankful. When it comes to Daima, there is one word that perfectly describes it. Celebration, and that is what Daima is to the entire franchise. Nostalgia hit me like a ton of bricks when I saw Kid Goku again because it brought back all those great feelings of the OG series when he would use his amazing martial arts skills to kick butt and win battles, and look, we get plenty of that in this series as well. Boy, these fights in Daima are some of the best in the franchise. I just couldn't get enough of that brilliant choreography, like in episode 3 when he and Gloria get into a bar fight that kind of resembles the whole Maz Eisley Cantina scene in Star Wars. I mean, the way Goku was just eating while kicking butt made me giggle like a schoolgirl, I'm telling you. Not to mention the return of Goku's trusty power pole. Toriyama's slapstick comedy is also another signature feature that I am so glad to see back in the series. Look, you can't celebrate the old without bringing in the new, and there are some great new characters in this series to be excited about, especially the Tamagami. Warriors who guard the Demon World's Dragon Balls, and they are super strong and intriguing characters. characters, especially when you learn more about them. Glorio, as I mentioned before, is very mysterious, and who knows what side he's on, and you can't take him at face value. Dr. Arinsu is a sassy and knowledgeable character who obviously has big plans for herself that will most likely interfere with Goma's. Most importantly, I can't mention interesting new characters without Warp Sama, because this Shenron-like deity holds a lot of power, serving as the gateway to and from the demon world. He looks like a giant mechanized goldfish with a snarky attitude, but don't tell him I said that. In conclusion, Dragon Ball Daima is a wonderful anime that brings the franchise into an exciting new direction while respecting its history. Now, I don't know if we'll ever see anything like this again, but let me tell you, I'm so thankful that this exists. Thanks for watching, and if you just can't get enough of me and want to show some love and support, please like this video, subscribe, it really does help. And if you want to watch another video that I did about the state of the Dragon Ball franchise, well, I did one, and look, it might be a bit passé now because of the fact that Daima was so good, but hey, if you want to laugh, definitely check it out. I have it in the description. Now, don't forget to have a great day, a great night, a great morning, wherever it is, wherever you are, and don't forget, Kokishin Amote Kudasai. Now it's time for me to go watch Dragon Ball Daima again. Do 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 do.